Yo, 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 it's Mickey Factz, and right now you're tuned into allhiphop.com. Keep it locked right here.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Chuck Creekmer, a.k.a. Jigsaw, and we are here with Mickey Factz.
Smicky!
Man, it's a long time coming, bro. Yo,
What's up, man?
man, all right, it's confession time. Confession time. Man, you Royce, you Lupe, Royce, Ransom, RJ, that whole situation, it hurts me now. It hurts me now. It hurts my heart now. In the thick of it, from a hip-hop perspective, from a rap perspective, from a competitive perspective, I was like probably everybody. I was like everybody else.
Right.
Just like watching Ali, Frazier. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like Mike Tyson because I was rooting for Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Every fight except
Right.
Larry Holmes.
Right.
Except Larry Holmes. I was rooting for Iron Mike.
Okay.
But it's now, some time has passed. I want to get your thoughts on the situation, like right here, right now, and what you think about it.
I think I kind of feel like how you feel. When it was happening, I was just like everybody else. I was a fan. I was excited because, I wanted it to be Ali and Frazier. I wanted it to be one of those kind of scenarios where it's like someone who I hold to a super high regard is about to kind of try to kick my ass. You know what I'm saying? And, I revel in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I feel maybe there was a lapse in communication between all parties, from that live that happened. And he, I guess he didn't want to go in that direction. And I can understand that, he's dealt with rap beefs before with D12, which was, I could see that being a traumatizing kind of situation because it spilled into the streets. He had the situation with Mr. Fab. Did you guys throw that?
Yeah, that was an all hip hop event. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that.
I have atoned for that event. It was a mess. You know what I mean? So
Right.
The whole event was a mess. Like, by the way, I just want to say that for anybody that saw the battle, it was supposed to be Joe Budden, Fonte, Mr. Fab, Royce the 5'9".
A cipher.
No, it was a battle. But remember, battles, we were actually looking to avoid we took away the personal part and we said, bring your best battle raps. But Mr. Fab broke the rules and he went off top and he went directly at Royce.
Right.
And Royce continued with
what he had planned.
Right. So he didn't really get washed the way people say he got washed because he just stuck to the plan.
Right.
And Mr. Fab actually apologized, by the way, for breaking the rule, for, going off script, if you will.
Right.
And but I know that bothered Royce a lot, and it bothered me because, like you, Royce is one of my favorites, like top 5 of the present day. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't do anything to hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For culture.
But I think they both released diss tracks afterwards.
Right. I didn't tap in for that. I haven't heard them.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that, but I know that it didn't spill into the streets. So like,
Okay.
there was a back and forth that they had. So in my mind, I could understand the issue with the D12 situation, but then you got this Mr. Fab situation, and that's what I felt like I was going into with it, right? Like it wasn't any real personal attacks like that. It was more so, talking about him lyrically, you know what I'm saying, and what he does lyrically. I didn't delve into his personal life and the things that he's struggled with in his life. I didn't get into any of that. It was more so about lyrical exercise.
Got you. Got you. I have to ask, what you thought about Lupe's response, because, like you've mentioned, it was an art. Well, Royce's Lambda, Revenge of the Lambda.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Revenge of the Lamb.
was,
Silence of the
was,
Lambda.
was dope. Yeah, it was dope. It was artsy. It was poetic. It was all those things.
Yeah.
And then Lupe freestyles, which I have to admit I found that quite amazing that he freestyled. Before I woke up, there's a response.
Yeah. I enjoyed both of their takes on it. I thought Royce was artistic, like you said. It was a beautiful art piece. I've been saying this for like a month now. And Lupe's was visceral. I believe he freestyled a line or two and then stop it and then keep going. I enjoyed what Lupe did. I thought it was I thought his response was what he felt at that time, and he felt honest in that.
Right.
And like you, I woke up to both of them. Like you, I went to sleep before Royce dropped his and Lupe dropped his. So I woke up to both, and I heard my name twice on both. So it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I thought they both did what they were supposed to do in that moment.
Were you and Royce friends? I know you guys have done songs together. I mean, it seemed like there was something being built community-wise, from a hip-hop perspective between all of you guys. And that's what I felt like I was witnessing at some point.
Yeah, there was a camaraderie. He did a record for me called The Sermon. He bodied it. And, we stayed in communication and just a lot of admiration from my standpoint to him, and just seeing his ascension lyrically.
Right.
And just him going to this place where it's just like, man, he's just elevating constantly, and me just publicly and privately just, reminding him of how great he was and is. We haven't really spoken since after that last live that we had. The last live with Three Letter Man, and we were talking about Wraith. That was the last time we actually spoke. And in that live, we laughed, we yelled at each other. And, he said he's going to kick my ass. But, it's been a month. I have no clue what he's going to do. And I'm just kind of, waiting like everybody else. I think he's going to respond when he's ready to. It might be next year in April. It might be on my birthday next year. I have no clue, but I know he is going to respond. I can't see him not saying something. He's just going to do it in his own time.
Maybe when the album drops. Maybe when the next project drops.
Yeah, maybe when his next project drops. So, I have no clue, though. I have no clue.
Will you ever address it lyrically again? Like, I know that sometimes there's a little more introspective position you might take. I don't know.
Lyrically again?
Yeah, not in a battle form, but just thinking through.
Nah, I don't. I think I'm just kind of waiting like everybody else. Obviously everybody's waiting for him on his side, and I think I'm kind of over it at this point.
Yeah.
I left the impact, with what I dropped, and it did what it did, and now we're just kind of in waiting mode.
Now, we just had RJ Payne in here, and we asked him, what he thought about the situation, but specifically you mimicking him or like transforming into him on that record, which was, I have to say, pretty incredible.
Thank you.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
And then he said the same. What made you, I don't know, like that was so creative. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't want it to be like a typical kind of thing where it was me just kind of showcasing what I do against them. I wanted people to kind of talk about this, and I knew that it was risky to kind of attempt to be RJ and Ransom at the same time. But I knew that, there's no reward without risk.
Yeah.
And a lot of success comes from risk.
Yeah.
And, after I was done with my first verse, I was like, I need to do something that people are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do something that people are going to talk about. What is it that I can do that people will talk about? And it's like, you need to write a rap and sound like RJ Payne.
Yeah.
And Ransom.
Right.
And then I was like, that's it. When people hear this, they're going to say, this is different This is something that's never really been done before in audio format on a disc record, and it worked very well. And afterwards I called both RJ and Ransom and expressed my gratitude for their styles and doing the RJ Payne impersonation. I called him immediately and was like, bro, I have to give you your flowers and your kudos, because as much energy that I had to exude to pull that off, you do that on a consistent basis. That's incredible. So definitely. I had to, let him know that I'm appreciative of him and his talents.
Is there any way to, and if you care about mending this tie with Royce, fixing it?
I would love to. I mean, listen, if I know he's gonna respond, we know that. Depending on how crazy it is, I might have to respond back, and I know he's probably not going to respond after that, and but I would love to have a conversation with him still, and maybe it's the ball is in my court. We're both cancers, so he's probably holding on to it like, you got to call me, and I'm like, well, he got to call me, you know what I'm saying? But I have no ill feelings towards Royce. I did it in the spirit of competition. The spirit of hip hop, New York City kind of style, like it wasn't with no malicious intent,
Can you talk about your you and Lupe seem to have like a really strong bond. I mean, I think it's fair to say you do. Can you talk about how that came about, and what are those common ties? You remind me of my best friend, who I've mentioned, I actually hadn't heard of you until the situation with Royce, which is another thing I want to mention. From RJ's point of view, right. He really, Royce that is, gave like a platform almost, like a platform for everybody to become more well known or more recognized. My boy is, he lives in Delaware. He loves hip hop, but he's not all the way in anymore. But he's a fan of yours now because of that. Right. So that's like two questions in one. One is, just your relationship with Lupe, but just also not to like milk the Royce thing, but just to say that I almost feel like he was doing something that we didn't understand.
Yeah. Okay. So my relationship with Lupe is it goes back to 2007 when he put out The Cool.
Okay.
I was an editor of a copy editor for Lace magazine at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing
a little journalism thing going on.
Yeah. I was doing some proofreading for Lace magazine, and I was trying to get some interview questions from Lupe.
Okay.
I didn't know him at the time. We were at Cornerstone.
Oh.
We were at Cornerstone, and he was playing the album, and and I walked up to him like most unknown artists at the time go to known artists. One day we're gonna work together, and obviously he did what known artists do. Okay, yeah, sure. And then 2 years later, we were in Japan together. Our first time actually interacting.
What year was that?
That was 2009.
Okay.
Our first time interacting was for a Phenomenon Swagger shoot, and then we toured in Japan together.
Okay.
That was the first time actually interacting, and so I spoke that into existence.
Got you.
And ever since then, we've just kind of had this relationship where he kind of peeks his head in to see what I'm doing and then pull back. And then, I put out Mickey Mouse in 2012, and that's when we really built this bond of, through lyricism and art and just education. And we're all the way locked in now. That's my brother. I consider him my brother, and vice versa. It's just a brotherhood that, I couldn't ask for from anybody else, and we haven't done any music together and probably won't, because he doesn't do features.
Really?
But we've toured together. I've been in front of so many crowds with him, and I could call him for advice and vice versa at any given point. As far as the platform that Royce put up for us, I believe that he was trying to. I believe now, in retrospect, he was trying to see who was the better rapper.
Okay.
On tracks. And let's all collaborate and see who can outdo who when the time is right. I'm a very fast writer, so like I'm always down to do stuff like that. And I feel like at that time it wasn't something where I was looking at it like that. I was looking at it like I just wanted to kind of curate these conversations of lyricists having, talking about their styles and the science of how they put their stuff together, because a lot of times we have these discussions privately, but I wanted it to be public for the fans, because, fans are, students of this as much as we are, and rappers are fans of each other. So, I really wanted to curate that talk. And I didn't even really kind of want to get into the, getting on tracks too much, because I never really cared to be the best. I think that's a insurmountable place to kind of put yourself if you're not in the public eye on that level. Yeah. And everybody's always going to have their own opinions. And it's just hard to just kind of pick who's the best. Like, even today, I was like, damn, while we were having these conversations, I was like, damn, I forgot about Rock Marcy.
Yeah.
And how great he is.
Right.
And then it's just so many MCs that are incredible that we know of, that your boy who didn't know of me, potentially knows of, and then people we just randomly may forget about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just impossible to quantify who's the best. That's why I was never really engaged in being the best. Okay.
Now you're bar heavy, you know what I mean? And this is would you say, are we in a renaissance? Are we in a, I like the word renaissance, but RJ used the word new golden era, which is, that's a touchy, that's an interesting, you know what I mean? Like, we know what the golden era is.
Yes.
But to say a new golden era, I don't think it's that far off. What do you think?
I would have to agree with him. I think we're in a space where the internet has allowed for a lot of artists to kind of find themselves and not have to worry about the bureaucracies of what the industry bestows upon the people dealing with the politics. So when you look at somebody like a RJ Payne and a Ransom, and myself, Lupe, all of us, we're just kind of in this place where we can be ourselves and put together these projects that are thought-provoking, poignant, and just doused with heavy lyricism that we probably wouldn't get, from in the mid-2000s, because of how the industry was shifting towards a more commercialized place. So I would kind of have to agree with him in that sense, and I think we're just constantly pushing each other. Like, me and RJ in the past, I would say 9 months are on 7 tracks.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like just from other MCs wanting us to be on the same song together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just been happening over and over and over. And to me, the output that RJ and Ransom, and obviously we just constantly talk about them, and myself, we're in this space where we all came out earlier. We all had a little bit of success, and we all kind of hit a roadblock. And then we figured out what the people want from us, and now we're just like, okay, now we're in our stride, and it's like, it's no stopping us now. We're going to give you guys everything you can handle when it comes to quality and quantity. As long as you guys can take it, we're going to be there to provide that for you.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, I've been going down the rabbit hole a lot with yourself, RJ. I've done it in the past with Griselda, you know what I mean? And I was talking to him, just for example, and he's mentioning projects that like didn't pop up in Spotify immediately. And I was like, oh shoot, there's more? Like, are you serious? So I got to give y'all all like so much credit, and you in particular, because you actually, and this is no disrespect, but you don't necessarily do the gun bars or the, cocaine raps. And I'm not, and again, this is no shade to anybody at all.
Right.
But I will say that you pull from other places.
Yeah.
In this environment where, sex, drugs, violence, you know what I mean? Rock and roll. Yeah, rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? As it relates to the lifestyle, is the most prominent and prevalent. Like, how is it for you to sort of like stick to your guns and, maybe not come way out of character, but you could come out of character a little bit. Everybody does.
I'm not a violent drug dealer, so like I can't place myself in that position to write stuff like that, because that's not the energy that I'm putting out there, for one. And for two, I have no idea about the mathematics that goes into drug dealing and the intricacies into killing a person and how much blood they'll lose. I have no clue about any of that. So I pull from video games. I pull from Black history. I pull from comic books.
Yeah.
I pull from life experiences. I pull from fly gear, fast cars, having a lot of women friends. The homies is always around, and just the spirit of bars, like just having these dope bars that are just entendre laced.
Yeah, yeah.
So I pull from everything. I can't just pull from the streets. I have no clue what the streets is about. Like that's what my family does and some of my friends do, but like I'm not. That's not me. So I can't rap about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Hugh is an album I can barely listen, bro. It's too it's too close to the heart. It's really heavy. It's like heavy, but I relate so deeply that I have to turn it off, turn it on.
Wow.
Turn it on. You know what I mean? It's heavy as a father, particularly, but as a man too.
Right.
What made you drop that project? I mean, I think I know the answer, but tell me what made you drop that project.
Well, obviously my son, who I love with all my heart, I wanted to give him something for his birthday, which was January 26th. That's when I dropped the project. And in my mind, I was like, how do I do a whole project about fatherhood? Because, prior to me, Sky Zoo did something. He did a ode to fatherhood, but it was from himself speaking to his father.
Right.
And my perspective really, really came from Chris Rivers.
Oh,
Big Pun's son.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of his Instagram posts, whenever he mentions his father, there's this want for more conversation. There's this need for more, gems from his dad. And the only thing that he has is maybe the little bit of memories he has, and obviously the audio from his albums and the features.
Right.
And that's all he has from his father. And when he speaks on such a great man that Pun was to the Bronx and New York City and hip hop, you can tell that there's this longingness for him just wanting to speak to his father.
Right.
And I was like, man, I want to leave something for my son, like that it, in the event that something happens to me, he would be able to listen to this for the rest of his life and know what to do with life when it comes to women, when it comes to finances, when it comes to religion, when it comes to the police, when it comes to being proud to be black, to his mother. All of this is encompassed. I wrote that in 3 days. I wrote that whole album in 3 days, and I recorded it in 1 day.
You can't be serious.
Yeah, I wrote that whole thing in 3 days, bro. I wrote it in 3 days. The whole thing.
Bro, I can't even wrap my brain around writing an album like that. This is not this is an album.
That was an album, yeah. I wrote it in 3 days. I wrote the album between the hours of 9 and 5 a.m. every day for 3 days. When I was holding him while he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Looking at him, writing. Looking at him, writing. The whole thing.
Oh my God, bro! I can't even that's just mine. That's incredible.
Thank you, brother.
I mean, obviously you have the inspiration in your hand, but still, do you ever get writer's block?
No, there's no such thing as writer's block.
Okay.
The reason why there's no such thing as writer's block is because there's 1.1 million words in the English language, and we have too many books that are out there for us to read, pick up, and too much information for us to pull from to ever have writer's block. And I always feel like when it comes to writing raps, whatever comes to your mind, the first thing that comes to your mind in conversation form should just come out.
Right.
And then everything should just flow from that point forward. So I don't ever have writer's block, ever.
Right.
That's why it was so quick for me to respond to Royce. That's why it was quick for me to write Hugh in 3 days. Even the song A-, right? Song about the letter A without using the letter A in any of the words. I wrote that in 4 hours.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. So let's talk about your collaboration with Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's out right now.
Yes, the narrative is out currently right now. Me, Blue, and Knots.
Yeah, I mean, that's a dope project.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
Me and Blue toured in 2018, and while we're touring, I'm driving. I love to drive, so I drove the whole tour. And while I'm driving, I'm like, "Yo, man, we need to do a project."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, Blue. All right, yeah, let's do it, OG." You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "All right, cool." And we started thinking about producers. Obviously, I reached out to a couple of guys, Eric Sermon. I think I spoke to Needles. I think I spoke to Bink. I think I spoke to, I think I said Eric Sermon already. And it just made sense to go with Knots because we had already did a project. Both of us had did separate projects with Knots.
Okay.
And it was just kind of easier for us to kind of just do the business with him. And we just it kind of just fit and worked well. And we recorded it in the midst of the pandemic in 2020. Okay. And obviously things changed and we had to shift some lines and some music and we were waiting on features. Yep. That's what took so long for it to come out. But, I'm excited about it being out, the final product. People love it. Yeah. It's a great project, man. Yeah. Me and him just kind of going back and forth and feeding off of each other. Me sending him choruses, him sending me verses and vice versa. And, him rewriting stuff and me rewriting lines. It was just a beautiful, beautiful process.
How's the creative process in COVID?
With me and Blue in COVID, it was the same. He go to his studio, and he send it to me, and I go to my studio. I send it to him. It's the same kind of. COVID didn't really change a lot for me. I just kind of had to find a studio that was comfortable with me going in the studio and being in there for 2 hours and knocking out 8, 9, 10 songs.
Yeah, that's what's up. So let's fast forward to the other situation.
Right.
Which has people talking and mentioning you.
Yeah.
And that is the situation from the Drink Champs, which was, the flunky comment was made.
Right.
You immediately jumped on that. Where is that situation now?
That situation is pretty much dead. Yeah. It was dead the day I spoke to Shaheem. So when Shaheem made that post, me and Shaheem had already squashed it.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, so he made that post maybe about 5 o'clock. Okay. Him and I spoke at 10 in the morning. Okay. And, he expressed to me his frustrations. Yeah. And, I didn't remember it because, I watched it and then I just kind of forgot about it. It was a 2-week kind of layover. Yeah. So I rewatched it. I saw my mistake, and I was like, "Yo, my fault, bro." But I wasn't calling you a flunky. I was more so laughing and saying your name because this is who he had to apologize to. Right. And he understood my stance, and he just wanted to speak to EFN and Nori. Yeah. When he didn't speak to them, that's when he pushed the button. Yeah. And it kind of mushroomed into all of the affiliates feeling away. And after he pushed the button, I reached out to everybody. I DM'd everybody. Right. And I wanted to clear the air with everybody before I made my public apology. And I spoke to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like doing it privately before doing it publicly was the best way to handle it. Yeah. So speaking to Killer Priest, speaking to Ninth Prince, speaking to Sons of Man and Killer Army, they were all cool with it. By the end of that conversation, we were laughing on Zoom, all of us. That's good. And it was squashed. So the very next day, I was in Miami when this happened, ironically, and I had caught, not COVID, I caught a severe strep throat with an abscess in my neck. Okay. So as I'm apologizing, my throat is closing up, and I'm experiencing pain while I'm apologizing. So it looks like I'm emotional, and it looks like I'm going through it. Now for me, like, I definitely meant every word I said. Yeah. But it wasn't to the point where it was like it looked like something was like I was gonna cry or anything. I literally was going through pain, and I ended up in the hospital that following day. Okay. But if you watch the previous Zoom conference with me and Sons of Man and Killer Army, we're laughing about it. We're joking around it, and they even saying, "Mickey, we actually have no issues with you."
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really you. And it's admirable that you're apologizing, but it's not really you that we're trying to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
It was really Nori and EFN. So by the time I did my apology, I was already good with them. That was more so for the fans and public perception of me accepting my wrongs.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to kind of clear up for all of the
Now,
people.
did you have to pay your way out of the situation?
No, I didn't have to pay nothing.
Yeah.
That I don't know where that came from. Actually, I do know where it came from. So I was leaving Nobu, the hotel Nobu.
Okay.
In Miami.
Nobu.
And I was paying. Me and Shaheem was on the phone, and I was paying the valet. I'm like, "Yo, Shaheem, hold on. I gotta pay the valet."
Okay.
When I get back on the phone, he's like, "Yo, you know what, Mickey? That sounds good. They gotta compensate me for defamation of character."
Right.
And I was like, well, I mean, whenever you speak to them, you have that discussion with them. But there was never it was me and him never had that kind of conversation about that. After and him and I have mutual friends, Jay Wex, Guy Route, a whole bunch of other people, Gully TV. We all have mutual friends. So I know people were hitting him because they were hitting me, trying to let him know, like, that's not Mickey's energy. And, and so afterwards, after Nori said what he said, me and Shaheem began speaking again more. And he was like, "Yo, we need to do a record." I said, "Oh yeah, let's do the record." And I laced that record for him.
Okay.
RJ is on the record.
Yeah, that's
Rockness is on the record. And and now we're talking about doing more stuff business wise. And I think there was something that I also said to Shaheem, right? I said, "Shaheem, when you came out, you were almost the same age as hip hop. You were in your teens, and so was hip hop. Hip hop was kind of in their teens. So that energy from hip hop and from you at that age made sense."
Yeah.
I said, hip hop is 48, 49 years old now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm 38, 39. You're 41, 42. How we're handling it now shows the maturity in hip hop and the maturity in black men. And it's okay for me to be wrong and admit that. And it's okay for us to work together and show people, yeah, we had our differences. Yes, we didn't see eye to eye. Yes, there was a lapse in communication, but we're still able to squash it. We're still able to unite fan bases, and we're able to move forward and get money together on a consistent basis. So, I'm appreciative of what happened because it grew a relationship between me and Shaheem, which I'm appreciative of.
Did the whole Joe Budden, Raekwon thing flash through your mind? Did any of that come up in your head?
Not really, because I didn't feel like I only said names. I didn't really disrespect anybody.
Yeah.
But I did I saw what it was blossoming into, because people were misinterpreting what was happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me nip this in the bud very quickly, because I don't want, Wu-Tang has a very rabid fan base.
Yeah.
And I feel like the members didn't really have an issue with me. That it wasn't the member, it was the fans who were really blowing it out of proportion. And then obviously, media is picking it up. So media is pumping it. So it was like, let me nip this in the bud immediately before it gets out of hand. And I think that was the separation between myself, EFN, and Nori. Shout out to them. They handled it when they handled it. But, I'm constantly promoting and posting, the narrative. And with me and Blue, and all I see is bees on the comments. I'm like, I can't do this, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it seems like Nori, apologies are something that hip-hop doesn't really embrace like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Nori, it seemed like he didn't want to really apologize. I think he wanted to say, I was wrong, but not like apologize. You know what I mean? That's the impression I got. Or he wanted to drag it out a little bit and then capitalize on it, from a social perspective or TV, whatever. Right.
I mean, potentially.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I knew that I was tired of seeing bees in my comments.
Yeah.
I could post about, somebody going through cancer, and I was going to see bees, and I just didn't. I just don't like that energy. So
Yeah.
I felt it was good for me to rectify it as quickly as possible, and I'm glad that I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. You are a family man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
In
That's me.
hip hop, in 2021, what does that mean?
I think it goes back to, that conversation that I was having with Shaheem about hip hop maturing.
Yeah.
We're getting to a space where we're growing up with the artists that we listen to. And when you grow up, you become men and women. You know what I'm saying? You have babies, you have families, you have retirement plans, you have stock options. And I think hip hop, it impacts people in so many different ways, life-wise.
Yeah.
Not just the corner, not just the block, not
Yeah.
just the neighborhood, but life. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And being that I'm a family man, I think it's important for me to express that in my music.
Yeah.
And express that, I am a married man, I am a father, and I do the best that I can to provide for my family in that manner, and I promote that in my music. I think it's essential to do stuff like that to show, our kids that are coming up, this is a good way to kind of live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Recently, I've been in a lot of conversations with people about ageism in hip hop, but specifically around Andre 3000's whatever, I don't know what it's called, but he mentions not wanting to continue to rap because he's no longer hip and some other things. First of all, I just wish Andre would take the fear, like remove that fear. He's been so fearless, and yet here we are. What are your thoughts on aging in hip hop?
I think this is another thing of it goes into the maturation of hip hop.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of pushback from the younger generation saying, "You 40 rapping. I don't want to be 40 rapping. I don't want to be," and that was drilled into a lot of fans' heads and a lot of artists' heads. I don't want to be 40 rapping.
Yeah.
And now, as we get older, as fans get older, fans want to hear 40-year-old shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but I want to hear about relationship problems that you might be going through in your 40s. I want to hear, what are you doing to elevate your life in your 40s? The aches and pains, the grays. What does that sound like, right? And I feel like there are some guys that do that. Like, not to go back, but Ransom, he talks from a wise OG's perspective on life, right? Lupe talks about, being at this age and doing this. Royce even does it, you know what I'm saying? Just being in this retrospective mindset. And I feel like ageism, I'm going through it, right? In my mind, I'm like, I'm going to retire at 45. I think I'm done at 45. So, and as I'm saying I'm going to retire at 45, I'm like, but I would love to hear an Andre album. I would love to hear a Lauryn Hill album. I would love to hear a new Kane album. I would love to hear a Rakim album. I would love to hear these guys that I admire and look up to come back and rap at their age and talk about what they're going through and see what that would sound like. And I think Dre is coming from his perspective of, I created The Love Below. I created Aquemini, and I was young when I did it, and the younger people loved it. And I don't think he understands that people are fiending for him to just breathe on a record.
Yeah, definitely.
Drake leaking that record with Ye and 3K, all it did was just make people more rabid for Drake, because that's what we want from him. That is a whole introspective about him at his age missing his mother. And when we're in our 40s as rappers, some of us don't have our mom, some of us don't have our dad. We can relate to that.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a shame that I feel like ageism was perpetuated by rappers.
Yeah, because rock doesn't have it.
Rock doesn't have it. Rock, you know,
jazz, rock.
Rap has it. Rap has always been. You got to remember, rap was born in '73. So it's not we're not too far removed from the civil rights movement. We're not too far removed from the Black Panther movement. We're not too far removed from the birth of hip hop.
Right.
Hip hop is 49 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy to really think about. So when you consider that, 47 years old. So 48 years old. Pardon me. So when you consider that, it's a lot to intake.
Yeah.
It really is a lot to intake from a perspective of someone who was in hip hop when it was in its late 20s.
Okay.
Mid 20s.
Yeah. So I've been exploring hip hop saving lives. Lupe has a joint about Slim Thug exploring, I think it's like a narrative about his life and how hip hop saved his life. Would you consider that idea, like, did hip hop save your life?
Hip hop definitely saved my life.
How so?
I was a paralegal at a law firm making $22,000 a year in 2006. I was going to school at NYU, wanting to become an attorney. The attorneys at the job that I was working at, they were making $40,000 a year, the junior attorneys. So in my mind, these are early 30-year-old people making $40,000 a year. And I'm like, well, that's what I have to obtain. That's what I have to work towards in 2006. $40,000 a year job, working from 9 to 9. I don't see the benefit in this. I'm not. No. And so I quit my job, and then I went to school. I was going to school to appease my mom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this isn't working for me either. I'm falling asleep in class in the front, triple shot of espresso, cappuccino triple shot of espresso, falling asleep. I was just bored. I was like, I need something that's going to excite me. And I feel like, life has worker bees. We're gonna need lawyers. We're gonna need doctors. We're gonna need carpenters. We're gonna need, people that do tech. But we're also gonna need entertainment.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do a very good job at what I do to entertain my particular support system and my hub. And it definitely has changed my life. I wouldn't have went to Japan or China or Europe or Canada without hip hop. I wouldn't be here. Like. With these bright lights on me. And I love interviews. I know a lot of artists don't. I love having the conversations of hip-hop. Right. So this is one of the perks of it. So hip-hop has definitely saved my life. I retired my wife at 30. Looking to retire, because my father retired his wife, so I'm looking to retire my father in another year or two. And then, I'm next. I'm the last chess piece on the board.
Nice. Now, let me check my watch. I know we don't have tons of time, but... Gotta talk comic books.
Yes.
Now, I had a problem. You posted a picture of. So I'm strictly comic books. I'm strictly Marvel comic books. Love DC. Don't get me wrong. But you posted. I don't even know, Dragon Ball Z, and who was the other one?
I don't know who those guys are.
Super Saiyan this and that, whatever, going against the Marvel universe. Come on, man. Like, I was like, why couldn't you have put the DC universe up there? Like,
okay, so I didn't make that picture. Let's be clear. I did not make that picture. I don't agree with that picture.
Okay.
I only posted that because Royce said, nerd got rapper friend, GOAT got rapper friends too.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, oh, you got friends?
Okay.
So then that's why I tagged Lupe in it. Like, right. This is me and you versus him and his friends.
Right.
That's what it was about. I don't agree with the picture in terms of those two guys beating the Marvel universe. Right. I'm a Marvel head too. Okay. All I rap about is Marvel. Yeah. I might throw in a little DC here and there, but I don't even know anything about anime and Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
I only know about Marvel, so I don't want you to feel no way about that. Last time we saw each other was at a Marvel premiere movie, so you know what I mean?
I appreciate that. Yeah. So give me your top 5 superheroes.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Is definitely in my top 5.
Yeah.
Black Panther. T'Challa is definitely in my top 5. Mostly for his hand-to-hand combat.
Okay.
I love what he does. The Hulk is definitely not this MCU Hulk.
Nope. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to just
the comic Hulk.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of Reed Richards.
Okay.
You know,
Smart.
I love Reed to death.
They better not make him black either. I hear some grumblings.
I don't know what's
I
going
hope
on.
they don't do that, Marvel. Please.
I have no clue
Please
what they're
don't do
doing
that.
over there. And this last one is it's probably gonna piss a lot of people off. But my number 5 is Cyclops.
Now, Cyclops in the movies is whack.
Trash.
But in the books, he's good.
He be whipping on Wolverine. He be whipping.
I can't put him over Wolverine though, but I like Cyclops.
I like Cyclops.
I like him as a concept, but then once he started being in the movies, I was like,
I ain't like him in the movies either.
Yeah.
But in the comics, I rock with Cyclops.
So, me, Pete Rock, we toil over the Hulk in the Marvel universe, the film, the cinematic universe.
Yes.
Oh my God, we go back and forth all the time, just at random, about how foul Marvel, y'all did the Hulk.
Yeah.
What? So, I'll say it, and then you can expound.
Yes.
The Hulk, first of all, he gets his butt beat, like trashed,
Whipped.
by Thanos.
No spinning the block.
Right. And then I said, all right, okay. I mean, that's like a great scene.
That's
like,
an amazing
it's
scene.
an amazing scene. And I'm like, okay. So I wait. I patiently wait. And I wait. I mean, the young me, the kid that used to look in the mirror like, oh, Lupe, right now. I mean, I looked like the Hulk to myself. And then Endgame comes, and he becomes the vegan Hulk or the Professor Hulk or the nerd Hulk, Peace Hulk, whatever. I don't know, Hulk. And he never, I mean, everybody got their stuff off at some point or another except the Hulk.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, being that he's in your top 5 dead or alive?
That was very disappointing. The trailers were misleading because, you seen them running. So in my mind, I was waiting for that scene to see them running. And he never showed up.
Yeah.
Never showed up. And then there was a meme that it said Thanos was the first nigga to beat the intelligence into a nigga. And, in the comics, the Hulk is visceral. He is pure adrenaline and rage, pure anger, pure madness.
Right.
And Disney princessed him.
Yes.
They dwarfed him. They nerfed him. And it to me it all started in Ragnarok. It all started in Ragnarok, and it was like it was something off. It was like, yeah, he's the Hulk and he's doing his thing, but something's not right. He's not. This is not what
I gave him a pass for that because I was like, oh, it's on another planet. It's like Thor's movie, but
something wasn't right, man.
it's a comedy. It's like a buddy movie, but
he's not supposed to be joking.
yeah,
Ain't nothing funny about the Hulk. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I don't like what they're doing with him. I don't like him in this. He's in the sling, banner. I don't know what's happened. It's just crazy. He's supposed to got healed. That's that's what his gamma powers do. They're gonna put him in another comedy with She-Hulk, an Abomination. And it feels like She-Hulk is gonna be the Hulk, and he's gonna be
the emasculation of the Green Man.
It's crazy to see. And listen, man, I like She-Hulk, but the Hulk is the Hulk, bro.
Right.
And you can't do that. You can't do that. So, but it looks like that's what's gonna happen.
I'm still, somebody I dated told me, like, out of the blue, because I had posted something randomly on stories, get over it. Like, he's smart now. He's, intellectual. He fought him in his new way. And this is, I was like,
Did you break up with her?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God. Okay. My contact popped out. No, please. Okay. That's going wrong. This is going wrong. God, this one ended well. All right, we'll edit that, maybe.
That's hilarious.
That's not a good look. Alrighty. Anyway, are you still in? did you read comic books, or did you when did you jump on board?
I jumped on board reading my father's comic books. So
Okay.
my father has original Black Panther comics, original Eternals comics, Machine Man. He has all of those comics from Marvel because he's a Marvel head.
Yeah.
So I knew about all of these guys, all of the D-list Marvel stars I was fans of for a long time.
Okay.
Because he didn't have any of the newer the A-list or the B-list guys. He had to sell his comics back in the days to feed his parents, because his parents they worked, but they would being black back in the days, go to the bottle, spend your money, doing what they do. So he would he would buy comics, he would pack bags, buy comics, to sell the comics to buy food. You know what I'm saying? So the comics that nobody wanted to buy, he still has, which was the Eternals. He didn't never think that there would be an Eternals movie. So I've been into comics since I was like 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
So I have my own collection of comics at the crib. Me and Pete Rock, like you said, we be going back and forth, showing our collection, showing our stuff. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I have Spider-Man 1 through like 150. Okay. I have all of that.
Dope. We're gonna have another whole conversation on that note. I might have to pull a whole ensemble in here.
Oh yeah, that'll be dope.
We had me, Pete Rock, and DJ Ben Hameen. We had a conversation after Stan Lee died.
Oh,
it was a good one, but we got to do like a real drink.
Yeah, I would love to do one like that. And I actually, because I'm a concept guy. I'm concept heavy. You could tell from Hugh and A minus, Mickey Mouse, and so I was like, yo, Pete, we need to do like our own multiverse project.
Yo, bro, put me down, please, because I've been talking to Pete. I'm trying to
nudge him in that.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my brother. I love him so much. When we meet up, I'm coming bearing gifts.
Okay.
Marvel gifts for him.
All right.
So we can get this done, because I think hip hop is at a place where it's past what we were just talking about: sex, violence, drugs, rock and roll. Now we need to start doing other things, right? And to just do something creative where we we put together something Marvel related just because we're fans of it. Yeah. I think would be dope.
Okay. And last thing, top 5 dead or alive MCs.
Top 5 dead or alive MCs.
I know you don't have a fave and there's no best, but your influences, the people who impacted you the most.
Biggie.
Okay.
Kane.
Okay.
Jay. Nas. And that fifth one is between Big L and Big Pun. Those were my biggest inspirations.
Okay, so I got another one. Top 5 dead or alive, not from New York.
Not from New York. Scarface, Snoop. Oh man, this is gonna piss people off. I am a huge Trick Daddy fan.
Not Trick. I can't even speak
I
on
love Trick
right
Daddy.
now with his
Trick Daddy,
his things.
Common,
Okay.
Eminem.
Okay. Shout out to all those people.
Yes.
They definitely are goats in each and every sense of the word.
And I just pulled from different places too, like Detroit.
Trick Daddy though, why Trick Daddy though?
Man, yo, Trick Daddy, man. There's just this hood ratchet arrogance that he just brings to music that I just loved. It was just like, yo, man, them Polo. You know what I'm saying? Like every song he ever put out was just fire to me, man. And I was in this, when Versus was popping off, people were doing their own verses.
Yeah.
And I was in this group, this Facebook group called 750, and 2 guys was like, yo, I want to do Trick Daddy versus The Game. And Trick Daddy beat Game. Wow. 14-6.
Wow. That's interesting. I'm not sure
I thought it was hilarious because I thought The Game was going to win, but the guy, he knew how to put his songs. He threw all the Trick songs out first, all of the big records. And when you listen to all of the big records, it's like, wow, Trick was really kind of bugging out on a lot of these songs, man. So I'm a huge Trick Daddy fan. Huge, man.
Dope. What you got next?
Man, next was coming up. I'm working on a project that should be dropping later this year, maybe in December. Hoping to, start putting that together this month
Okay.
and recording it next month and getting all the features ready to get that out before the year is up. Then Mickey Mouse 2 next year.
Oh, dope.
Mouse 2 next year. I'm working on this super crazy concept project with Crisis.
Okay.
It's super crazy. Like, it's wild. It's like I love concept projects because it's trying to do something that nobody's really done before. Working on a project also called The Dinner Table, which is talking about finances in hip hop and how to, you know, how older artists and younger artists can put their money in places where they can kind of grow it. Not just, you know, artists, but people in general, you know, because black people at the dinner table, we talked about the Bulls, Martin, you know, and whatever else. We didn't talk about stocks and retirement plans and 401ks and things like that. So I want to work on something like that. Obviously, the project with me and Pete Rock. And, you know, maybe another full-length project, man, and just side features for people. I'm just always working, man, just constantly working.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man, for having me. Shout out to allhiphop.com, my man Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky. Only people that know me can call me Chucky. Salute.